Welcome to this Industry Insight session with Edinburgh Napier. Welcome to those of you who are joining us and watching the recording, but obviously a particular welcome to our guests who are with us today. So in a moment, I'll do the introductions. We'll go around the room or around the screen. I'll then tell you what the structure is of how we're going to run this session, and then we'll get into it and start our conversations. So introductions, first of all. My name is Dave Jarrold. I'm the Skills Development Consultant here at Edinburgh Napier. I focus on the core skills that sit behind your academic qualification and your professional skills. So things like problem solving, working in a team, dealing with conflict, navigating change, all that kind of skill set that sits alongside those technical skills and just supports us to be effective and productive. So that's my area. I will pass on to my colleague, Kelly.
Yeah, so my name is Kelly Dawson and I work alongside Dave as a career development consultant in the team. I specifically work with our School of Computing Engineering and Built Environment. So I work with students in that school as well as graduates, running things like careers appointments, workshops, helping them really get ready for the working world, improve their employability, get ready to kind of tackle interviews, how to kind of perform well in an interview, how to write strong applications, all those kind of things. So it's really nice to meet you both.
Thanks, Kelly. Lewis, can I get you to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Lewis George. So I'm a talent acquisition partner over at xDesign, the digital delivery partner and consultancy. I'm a business partner for recruitment for 4 of our core capabilities, covering cloud, architecture, QA, and automation, alongside many other things, with a massive focus on, onboarding, candidate experience, of course, interview experience, and DEIB as well. That's awesome.
Fantastic. Thanks, Lewis. And Damien.
Yeah, I'm Damien. I'm CEO at Drimify. So we are a gamification platform, and we are doing everything around serious games, online contest, marketing games. And I think, Lewis, we should talk because we are also working on the things like recruitment, onboarding, but gamifying all this to make sure that people that businesses are getting even more engagement from the new staff.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Excellent. So we've already got added value from the session. That's fantastic.
That's it.
Great stuff. So the structure of today is relatively informal. We've got a loose structure around our conversation just to ensure that we cover off the areas that are going to be of most benefit and most usefulness to our students. So we're going to talk about the big issues, the hot topics in the industry at the moment. We're going to talk about the technical skills that are really valued and really being sought after. We're going to talk about the soft skills because it's my area, so I don't want to miss it, and what kind of supports those skills in the workplace. And then we'll talk about the application process, and something that students are always interested in when we have our support sessions with them is how can they stand out? How can they be prepared so that they can deliver what you need them to deliver in the organizations, and how can we help them stand out? So excuse me, I'll kick us off and we'll get into those kind of hot button issues. So I'm interested to understand, and because your business is slightly different, you might have a slightly different take on it from your different perspectives, but what the main issues, pressures, opportunities, challenges are, either in your specific businesses or in the industry more broadly, just to understand what they might be. And Damien, can I come to you first? Can I ask you to answer?
Yeah, so that's a lot of different things. So if I start with the first one, big issues, I think at the moment would be for us, the one you've been talking about before, would be recruitment. So it's finding the right people, also the right mindset. So it's back to the soft skills as well. So sometimes out of 100 people, you only get 5 that are showing the right soft skills. And for us, it became something major. This morning, I was interviewing someone to join us as a project manager. And that's exactly what I've told her. I've told her, we don't really mind about your CV. What's important is your mindset, your attitude, and the way you are trying to sell yourself and make us understand that you could be the right fit. So yeah, for us, pressures, it's finding enough people, especially after Brexit kind of. So I'm not going to go down that road, but for us, it made it a bit difficult because we've got quite a few customers quite a lot of customers in Europe. So that's one of the current issue we've got, recruitment. And then, yeah, opportunities, challenges, I would say, yeah, our main thing is innovation. So for us, like, we are trying to create ourselves the opportunities, and we are creating with those opportunities the challenges that go with it.
Excellent. That's quite a lot.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You tell me if I've got to shorten my sentences.
No, absolutely not. That's perfect. That's ideal. Lewis.
Yeah, I don't think, it's easy to think that you're special and it's only happening to you, right? But, we've all been part of the economic shifts and economic changes, given a multitude of different factors over the last sort of several years. But I think, like Damien rightly so said, that the challenges are relatively consistent from sort of industry to industry and sector to sector. And it's about not only attracting the right candidates, but, engaging in those qualified candidates that are not only right from a technical skill perspective, but also those soft skills and as a value add and culture, addition to your organization. It's being working within the consultancy and that sort of sector, hiring fast, because the reactive nature of onboarding clients is definitely a challenge for us. And maintaining a great candidate experience against those sort of timescales and timeframes and things that we want to achieve is definitely something that is it's constantly at the forefront of how do we create that great candidate experience, how are we engaging in these candidates and creating this fair process, right, and being as inclusive as we can be whilst being timely, and ensuring everyone needs to prepare and so on and so forth. So yeah, like, whilst we have very much the sort of same and similar aspects in terms of those challenges as well, nuances change, sort of slightly different to the sort of business area that you work in. So
no, that's really interesting, really valuable. Kelly, so we've always kind of started to drift in some of the skills side of it. Do you want to take us further down that road on the skills?
Yeah, definitely. So, Lewis, I'll maybe come to you first with this one. So, thinking about maybe your graduate level positions and the roles you're maybe hiring for at the moment, what would you say for xDesign is the kind of most in-demand technical skills at the moment?
Whilst we have a variety of tech stacks and technologies and things that we work with, being in the consultative space and digital delivery space, there are several that we do lean on more heavily than others. So backend sort of Java 11 plus is definitely one of those. AWS as sort of cloud infrastructure is definitely the others. React front end and React Native for mobile applications. So there's several others that we do work with and delve into in sort of different areas. If I'm talking more broadly in terms of roles within the industries, within tech as a sector in and of itself, the roles that are most sought after: AI, machine learning, data science and data engineering, cloud infrastructure and computing, cybersecurity. These are probably, I'd say, the most desirable from either an organizational perspective, but also for candidates to want to get into. Whether at that graduate level, it's something that whilst I'm not necessarily engaged with the early talent team, I still work quite closely with them, and these are some of the sort of interests and things that I'm sort of seeing quite regularly from those candidates in terms of getting into those spaces and the technologies that they're working.
That's really interesting. And for you, Damien, in your company, maybe for graduate roles, but also for more mid-level positions as well, what would you say is the most in-demand technical skills from your side?
That would be the exact same answer. The same stuff. No, for us it's the same, because we Drimify, it's a SaaS gamification platform. So we have to be like complete, and we have to run like all the departments to make sure that the product is going forward. So it's like backend, front end, web design, graphic design. Now we introduced motion design and video. So that's roughly the same. We've got like a stack with Angular, with React as well, some PHP. The website is on WordPress, so PHP is heavily involved, because everything we do is custom integrations. We don't use templates or plugins or stuff like that. So we code everything ourselves. Again, AI, we just started like quite a lot of research and development involving AI. So you need like all those skills. So at the moment, it's like the team, the different skills from different people from the existing team, trying to combine all this expertise together. But ultimately, yeah, we will need like specific people. But yeah, like AI, nobody is qualified in AI. It was not there like a few years ago. So like we are creating new jobs. So yeah, but that's roughly the same issues that we've got. Yeah.
That's
and the
really
same
interesting.
demand.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think one other question I had that I just kind of thought of on the spot there was thinking about AI. Do you think it would be of benefit to students to undertake things like personal development courses and things like that? Maybe even if their degree doesn't entail maybe some of these areas, to go out of their way and try and maybe upskill through courses and things. Do you think that would be of benefit to the student to spend their time doing? Do you think that would give them a bit more to offer maybe when going for jobs with either of the companies?
I'll take this one. That's okay. Most definitely. I don't think, it's there's always value in curiosity and learning different things. There's, whilst inside or outside of your degree, there might be something, applicable from your degree that you can take and apply somewhere else, and give a different perspective. So, there's 100% value. I think if we're looking at that's the macro. If you're looking at the micro, I'd probably suggest something more. So for instance, looking at a programming language like Python, which is so diverse, so diverse in its application to both, data engineering, cloud engineering, AI, machine learning. Like it then opens up so many different opportunities for that, particular candidate and that particular graduate to be able to then maybe try different things and look at different routes. And something like, I use Codecademy. I'm trying to learn Python myself at the moment. If anyone can help me teach what if statements and loops, I'm all ears. So for my understanding of what I recruit for, there's like I said, my application of it is quite different. But I definitely say, from that perspective, get something that is so adaptable, a language, a framework, understanding cloud, that would pay absolute dividends if you're looking at sort of the micro aspect of it. But that would also allow so much flexibility and opportunity for graduates as well to find what interests them. I think is the tough thing. There's so much noise and variety. What do you pick? What's going to be fruitful in 5 years, 6 years? So yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And even like AI, I would say that yes, maybe it's a trend, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's going to be there for long. But everyone should get involved because we can see it. Like, again, if I take like all the different aspects of what we do, like backend, our developers are using it to get like code snippets, just like what we are doing on what we are doing on Stack Overflow. Now it's AI giving us, okay, you should maybe try this bit, blah, blah. So the backend developers are using it. The front-end developers, same, are using it for CSS, for HTML. Sometimes it gives you like, not everything is 100% accurate, but at least you've got a good base. We are using it for copywriting and search engine optimization. Again, just to get inspired, not to do the work, because you cannot write like a full article made of AI, because it will kick back at some point when Google will be able to flag them. Graphic design, we've been generating pictures, designs. We are customizing games every single day for customers. So we've been using like AI to generate pictures to design those games, to customize those games. Myself, I'm using it a lot, like almost every day. The lead gen team is using it to generate cold mailing. And so I don't think you can avoid it. And one thing is, if students could get a better understanding of AI, it would also help them not sending always the same cover letter when they apply for a job. So that would be helpful if they could get it more personalized, because we are not reading them anymore, like it's always ChatGPT cover letters. So it makes, it doesn't make sense. And
That's really interesting. I think I've heard a few people from different companies say that recently. The amount of cover letters coming in these days that are completely AI generated, it's really, I think definitely maybe a move in the future away from these application processes, just because of how rampant AI now is.
You could use it, but make it your own. It should be a base for inspiration. But when we get like 150 cover letters starting by "I'm a well-seasoned job position," come on,
the same sentence every time.
It's always the same,
Wow, that's really interesting. But yeah, thank you for that. That was really good to hear about the kind of technical side of it. And Dave, you've got a question coming up now about looking at kind of soft skills instead.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to touch on bits of that already, but I think you're right, Damien, that we can't we can't necessarily predict what's going to happen with new technology, but what history tells us is that we can't ignore it. We know it's something, we need to get our sleeves rolled up and get into it and play around with it and figure out how we're going to use it. Because if you're not, you'll definitely be left behind. Now, when we were chatting at the start, you mentioned sort of mindset and attitude, and we started talking a little bit about soft skills. So from my perspective, obviously, I've got particular interest in how we prepare students effectively. So what I'm interested in to find out about is, what are the soft skills that you think are most valuable and most useful? And then in particular, are there any that you see kind of particular gaps in terms of the skills, the core skills or soft skills that students have got that we can support them develop? And Damien, you mentioned it already, so I'll come to you first and ask you to tell me what your perspective is.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, it's again, it's all about the mindset and the attitude. And for us, it's kind of part of the DNA of our company, because with Munir, like a former Napier student, we met when we were like 14 years old at school and playing handball, sport handball. So that's how we met. And since then, we are running the company just like a sports team. So we are trying to get everyone involved, to get everyone running in the same direction, passing the ball to each other to score. Mm-hmm. But if someone is not running, goes on the bench. So, like that's the same way that we are running the company, just like the sport. So that's why for us, mindset, attitude, motivation are key. And I would say that, yes, you need the hard skills, but hard skills can be learned. For example, we got someone from Napier, a student for backend developer, and we got him. We wanted someone that could be able to work on a framework called Symfony. It's quite particular. It's a PHP framework, but that's what we need. That's what we use. He was not qualified, but he was motivated. So we took him onto like a 3 weeks training program online on Symfony, and now he's releasing features on the platform. So just to say that mindset, attitude, resilience is really important. Again, like we hired someone that's a copywriter with us just because not just because of that, but one of the big thing, he was able to run or cycle, like to cycle 200 kilometers or run 50K. So we said, if that guy can do that in his spare time, he's going to be resilient for us within the team. So that's why like soft skills became for us almost like the main thing to get people in.
Excellent. And when you say mindset, what is it about mindset? What kind of mindset are you looking for?
It's fitting the culture of, it's hard because mindset is quite large and vague, but for example, okay, I'm gonna give like some tips and tricks, and then we will get them all during the next interviews. But when people are saying, if I don't know something, I'm gonna go on YouTube and learn by myself and get trained on that. That's what I'm doing every single night. Every single evening I'm watching like tutorials. If we want to develop something new, I'm gonna try to not to master it, but at least to understand 80% of it, to make sure that what we put in place is going to fit the company, is going to help us reach our goals. But I'm a big fan of self-training, and our industry is evolving so quick that if you you're not going to learn what you will be doing at school. So you have to go yourself, make your own research, make your own education about everything. School is gonna give you like the base or the structure, but then all the rest you have to learn about it. So that's why what you are saying, Louis, like saying, people have to learn, they have to stay, they have to remain curious. That's the base.
Yeah, we sometimes talk about lifelong and life-wide learning, and I think that's a perfect example of that. You never stop learning. There's always more skills to add, but also it's not just about your professional life and the rest of your life. It's all, you're the same person. So it's how you do anything, it's how you do everything, and how you approach things. That's great. Thanks, Damien. Lewis, from your perspective, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I just want some really good points there, Damien. I think to touch upon, or expand upon just a couple of things there is like, whilst not like university or school and college, it is that base. It's these value add things that we're doing right now, which is so important, that but not every organization, not every university does do. And I think to sort of highlight a couple of those, or underline a couple of the points that Damien made is resilience. Giving those downturns, given the current market, that variety that's out there, you have to be resilient. Is definitely the sort of first and foremost. Curiosity, again, going hand in hand, using your initiative to go find out different ways of working and technologies and skills, and the right people to speak to, understanding that, sort of like having like a quite high EQ of yourself and emotional intelligence to understand your own personal development areas. Not everybody is always going to give you feedback on everything all the time. I learned the hard way, and a few of those things I'm sure we all have, right? Compassion and empathy, not only for others but for yourself. There's a bit of advice that I'll give a little bit earlier, like a little bit later on, for my 20-year-old self, that'll sort of cover that as well. Being able to challenge correctly, being assertive, in what you're good at, but also in what you don't, you're not so good at, and communication as well. Both non-verbal, verbal, active listening is going to pay dividends throughout a career, and family and friends and so on and so forth, and being that sort of cornerstone of different communities and pillars. And one that sort of gets looked over sometimes, or not necessarily highlighted, is whilst you can mentor down, you can also mentor up as well. So being within that space as well, where you feel like going back to that challenging, where you have something to say, there is value of whether a graduate, whether you're at school, whether you've been within the same career for 20, 30 years, in different sectors and technologies, both mentoring up and mentoring down. We're all learning. We've got desired goals and things we want to achieve, like Damien said, right? Outside of, companies being family, they're actually like sports teams, in my opinion. I love that analogy. You've got a desired goal. We all want to win together. And how do we do that? So yeah, I went off on a bit of a tangent there, as I'm really passionate about. But yeah, I'm looking forward to giving that 20-year-old very compassionate.
See, I don't want to rush us, but I'm desperate to hear it now. But you're right, and I think curiosity. I absolutely, I'm a standard bearer. Curiosity is an absolute skill, and that's one that I think is often overlooked. I'm really interested in what you said about mentoring up, and I think you're absolutely right. And we're all in the workplace with a different skill set. We all have something to offer, but sometimes it's the culture within an organization that can prevent that, because whether it's your seniority or whatever, the hierarchy can kind of squash that mentoring up challenge. Or channel of communication. How do you guys manage that in your businesses then? How do you ensure that you're from your positions, you don't squish that, and that you kind of draw that mentoring up from more junior members of staff?
Damien, do you want to...
Yeah. So for me, I would recap the thing with one good advice I got from another entrepreneur. He was telling me, you should not be the smartest in the room. So that's how it is, like we are trying to get people that are specialized, motivated, or if they are not specialized, to get them up to speed, to make sure that in a few weeks, in a few months, they will teach us how to do it. So that's our way of trying to mentoring up, like to go this way.
Yeah, several different ways. I think it's having an open feedback loop and feedback culture. Even our sort of SLT, our senior leadership team and exec team, have we use sort of like a feedback platform called Lattice, and they have a section for feedback just for them. So it's an anonymous platform. We have surveys, constantly coming through, sort of Slack like pull surveys as well, about not only how the business is run, but how we feel supported and can we voice, opinions and things. Outside of that, the regular one-to-ones, I think it's, understanding that, we're not all perfect. We all have things going on. And like I said, we all have a desired goal and something we want to achieve. It's not being combative and working against each other. It's like, what are our strengths? What are our development areas? How can we work together to achieve X, Y, and Z with a timely fashion? What have we learned along the way? Even something we're looking at doing within TA is having like retros after a recruitment process whilst we do that in some instances, but like an official retro to get everyone involved. Let's talk about, what went well, what went don't. So I think, I think regularly asking for feedback and putting it out there for people to do that, having a safe space, making yourself available, as an individual. If everybody did that, everyone's available. Yeah, just not pretending, bringing no egos to the table, I think, is something that xDesign do incredibly well. I feel comfortable and challenging. So I definitely say it's a bit of a recipe for success in being able to mentor up as well as down.
Yeah, and it's also maybe like, I don't know if it's along those lines, but working for the team. Because at some point when you run a business, you are not working for your customers anymore. You are working for your team, and your team is working for your customers. And that's also a way to empower people. So that's one of our biggest challenge, is trying to empower people as much as we can to make sure that they feel confident, they feel responsible. And that's how you can achieve like big goals. Back to the team sport, like it's always the same. You have to compose with everyone's skills, accept that not everyone is the same. Even like two people that are working in marketing might be completely different, but they will overlap somewhere. And that's this overlap that will make things happen, because both will be complementary.
I mean, yeah, I think you're going to get swamped with applications when people see it, because they'll see the value in your businesses. And right, we talk about, you mentioned culture, Lewis, and culture. We talk about culture being set from the top, but my experience is that culture flows, and we've got to allow it to flow in both directions. And so that exactly that, you get the mentoring up, and you get the value from all sides. And as you say, Damien, you get to a point with the business when, as the business owner or the business director, you're there to support other people in the business, and it is about seeing that different position.
Yeah, I think like what Damien said, it's about that. Yeah, I've never run a business, I've never owned a business, but I'm guessing like that from sort of the top down comes from that empowerment piece, Damien, that you sort of talked about. And yeah, I think it's massively important. It sort of trickles and flows through the company in different ways, and I think communication has to be absolutely sort of spot on, whilst not everybody has to know everything all the time. I think, understanding direction, understanding what we're all trying to achieve, and having that sort of 1 or 2, 3 goals to work towards, I think is definitely what helps.
Yeah, but and back to the first question, that's one of the challenge is keeping like everyone aligned on everything, like being able to communicate clearly enough. Because sometimes, let's say we are talking like, I don't know, like 3 team members, we are talking about something. So for us, it's clear we want to go in that direction, but then you have to make sure that you are not forgetting the rest of the team. So that's why you have to like put like some sort of routine where you can announce the big goals, and try to, even like for us, like as part of our quarterly review, we've got the last points it's about the company's goals. So most of the time, the company's goals are still the same. We want to become like the leading platform in terms of gamification and everything, but it's just to realign everyone on those goals, and people and to get people understand where we are going and why we are doing it. And it's like, again, like I'm sorry, because I will go back to this sport example all the time, but it's like when you take a timeout, you bring the team together and you tell them, okay, this is what we do from now. And then you realign for the rest of the game. And that's it, like the team is working together, but at least there was like this consultation where you made everyone aware of what were the goals.
I think the sporting analogies are really valuable, and it brings it to life, and people, it makes it understandable, and you can see, as you say, you're all working towards that same goal. So one of the things I think is really valuable about these conversations is it will let students get a real idea about the culture within your organizations. And I think a big part of successful applications is having that fit with the culture, and it being that, yeah, that's me, that's how I like to work, that's how I want to operate, that's the environment I want to be in. And so hopefully it'll help students identify the right environment for them. So with that in mind, Kelly, I'll come to you when we can think about the application elements and how students can make themselves stand out.
Yeah, it's actually, I would say, the most common question I get asked by students in appointments when they come to see me, and they've got questions about their CV and things like that. But the main thing I think that I get asked most often is, how do I stand out to employers? There's so many people applying, so many other students who maybe have similar experience, the same degree, for example. How do I make myself stand out? So Maybe Lewis, I'll come to you first. Do you have a kind of top tip that you could give for students to kind of stand out? We've kind of touched on this already in some, like, as the conversations flowed, I guess, but what would be your top tip for a student to stand out?
It's really good. I think Damien touched upon it earlier on. I think whilst AI is an absolutely incredible tool, being creative, being putting your own touch and your own spin on your either your application or your CV. I think making real connections as well, reaching out, putting a face and name, whether that's through LinkedIn, whether that's through events throughout that application. I'm going to drill it home again. Curiosity. Ask questions. What do I need to do to, in order to be successful in this role? Like, I think genuine curiosity is something that you don't come across quite often. It's so hard. I'm not gonna, sugarcoat it. It's so hard for people to stand out, in applications and stuff. If I was in the market, how would I do that? Right now, if I was looking for a role, because of the variety, because of several different sort of factors. But I definitely say be creative, make some real connections. It might take a lot of chopping and changing and adapting sort of CVs and applications. It is a bit more of a laborious process than click and apply. Bit more of it, but you'll find so much more success rate. Ask for feedback on the call if you're getting through to that interview stage. Ask for feedback. Say, what other opportunities are available? What, how like I said a moment ago, how is there ever a chance that I can work here, and what is it you sort of look for? And there's several candidates that unfortunately haven't been successful at xDesign. Even the beginning of this year, they've taken the feedback, gone away, come back, and they've to us and have been a hire. Several. I can give you several examples of that, certainly within my cloud and the architecture team, and it's really inspiring. And whilst motivation will get you somewhere, discipline will take you much further as well. So yeah, there's reeling it all off. As much as you can teach the technical, there's a lot of those soft skills. It's attitude, what Damien's touched on a little earlier. But yeah, sorry, I've run away with that a little bit.
That was good. That was really, really good. Yeah, great advice. And what about you, Damien? What would you say is the kind of how would you recommend students to stand out against other applicants?
I think we are stealing each other's answers on that one, but yeah, that's it's good to see that we are going in the same direction. But yeah, for me, it would be like making sure the CV is accurate. So, for example, if you apply for a PHP developer position, don't start listing that you can do React, blah, 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 blah. I have a list of 20 because it makes you look like you are a jack of all trades. So try to even like adjust your CV if you can. I know it takes time, but it can demonstrate attention to detail to have like the perfect CV for the perfect job. Don't expect to throw your CV at everyone and wait for it to get back to you. So yeah, accurate CV. No ChatGPT cover letter. I would rather get like a personalized message as part of the application. The cover letter is useless because everybody is saying the same. Louis, you got a really good point with the real connections thing. Many times someone will get our attention if they try to get in touch with us through different channels. So let's say job position available on Indeed, they apply there, might get in touch on LinkedIn, or might send an email through our website. I don't want people to turn up to my door and knock the door and say, hi, I'm looking for a job. But what I'm saying is showing that you are passionate, showing that you are driven and you want it. So again, it's back to the soft skills of having the right mindset. Next one, sorry, I've made a list because that's really important for me. But do your homework. Like when you get when you've got a meeting, show up. Because if you don't show up, it's a lack of respect and you are wasting everyone's time. And if you show up, do your homework, like know who we are, know what we are about, what we do. Because how many times we've been talking to people for 10, 15 minutes, and then you tell them, okay, now, can you tell me who we are and what we do at Drimify? And they're like, oh, sorry, I don't have time to look at your website. So you expect me to give you a job for years, hopefully, and you don't even know what we are doing. Again, for me, it's back to respect. why are you asking me to give you a job if you don't know who I am and what I do? You know, that's yeah, this feedback is major as well. If you don't get like successful, ask why. That's what we do when we've got clients and are saying, oh, sorry, we choose another solution, or sorry, you didn't get this tender. We ask why to improve our service. So I think people should do the same for themselves.
Just if I can interject as well, I think like mine was quite macro. I love that, Damien, a little more micro than mine. Yeah, definitely being specific. If there's a particular tech stack that you favor or have worked with, you know, links to repos and projects and things that you have built, I definitely say is incredibly important. I think that research thing, again, you know, getting that opportunities, getting through of, you know, such as Damien or myself, I think that time is valuable, you know, both sides. And I think I think at the absolute bare minimum from a candidate perspective, understand who you're applying into and what they do, and is that going to be something of interest to you long term, and are you part of that mission? Is that right? Because we can all apply. So I think whilst it is important, you know, to show, you know, to understand what we do as a company, it's more important for them, you know, what they want to gain out of their career, because that's part of, you know, my call with candidates is, whilst it's important to understand what you do, I can get that roughly from your CV. I want to know what you want. Like, tell me what it is you want to achieve. What that then in turn allows me to do is tell you how xDesign can support that. You know, and you need to sort of, you know, like be passionate, be like, I say curious again, but like, you know, it helps sort of direct and understand, you know, is this something for you? Because it's just as much as an opportunity for you to interview us as us to interview you. But yeah, from an actual CV application perspective, you know, connections, be specific. If you've built something, be proud of it and share it, highlight it. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, on that note, that's a really good one. I forgot, it's the portfolio. Like, for example, can be a portfolio of anything, but a graphic designer or a video editor or motion designer applying to a job without a portfolio, don't do it. You know, take the time to build your portfolio, to show us what you are proud of, and then we can assess it from there. And I would say that on those creative jobs, the portfolio matters even more than the CV. The CV, we don't really look at it. It's what you can achieve. Because if you're a video editor or motion designer, it's which kind of feelings, which kind of emotions you can pass through your creations more than what's listed on your CV. So again, yeah, trying to even be happy to make a test, or I'm not saying working for free, because sometimes the line is thin, but make a test or try to create something that will match with your employer and tell them, this is what I've done. It's an example of what I could be doing. Like, it's so like proof, give some proof, you know. And something we do, for example, with graphic designers is we tell them, go on Drimify, pick a brand you love, customize a game, and show us what can be done with it. And for us, that's the best way to assess if they will be a good fit or not, because we're not telling them, do it for that brand because it's our customer, and then we will steal your idea and sell it to them. It's more like, do something you love, but show us what you can do. And also back to this, not when you are in an interview, don't try to tell that you can do something if you can't. So for example, I was asking someone, do you know HTML? So that's basic coding stuff. It was for a project manager role, so it was not like really a developer. So that's fine, but it's just like to know how technical people are. And the candidate answered yes. And I say, okay, how do you make a link with HTML? I don't know, I forgot. So you don't know HTML. So don't tell me you know it. Tell me, okay, I don't know about HTML, but I'm a quick learner and I'm willing to learn. So that's also one thing, because if you keep, how do you say, can we say bullshitting? Can we say that? at some point, we will find out, because once you start the job, you will be facing the challenges and the task. So if you can't get them complete, that's it, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that's
sorry
some good
for
advice.
excuse my French.
No, that's fine. No, that was some good advice there. Like, lots of good advice, but that was really good as well at the end there, just being honest as well. If you don't know how to do something, rather than pretending and then getting called out on it, just admitting that, you know, it's something that you maybe don't have a skill in yet, but willing to learn. And I think that willingness to learn is a good trait in and of itself, really. So yeah, that was great. Lots of food for thought for me as well when working with students from these answers. This has been really fab. Dave, anything you want to add there, just leading on from that?
Yeah, I think so. Excuse me. Yeah, it's we can, as you say, Kelly, we talk to students, we give them advice, we give them information, and we can do so much, but it's so much more powerful coming from you guys, from the people who they will actually be sitting down in front of when they come for interview. So it's so much more valuable from that perspective, because it is a partnership. You know, we want students to be successful. Success for us isn't a student getting through the door and tick and they've got a job. Success is a student getting in the job and being with you for 10, 15 years and thriving and making a massive contribution to your business and to your organization. And so that's what we mean by employability. It's not just getting in the door. It's the length of your career and how we can support students to get to that stage. So that brings us to the end of most of the questions we had. As I say, we're going to round it off by just interested in your perspectives, and if you were to wind the clock back and be talking to your 20-year-old self, what advice you would give to yourself at that stage. And I know Lewis has got a good one, so I'm going to come to Lewis last. So I'm going
no, start with
Are you desperate to know as well?
Yeah, I don't mind.
So yeah, we'll go with it. So Damien, you tell us what your advice would be.
It would be like to take risk. So when you are 20, you've got your professional life in front of you. So be adventurous, be creative, take more risk, fail again, fail again, but keep going. And just, don't be too conservative, or just do it. Yeah, just make it happen. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Lewis,
there is two, and I feel like we've really talked them up now. And whilst both quite cliche, I'll give an explanation of both of those. I think, you know, to add to Damien's, I'd say like be yourself, and in a word that there's a quote that I use which sort of doubles down, you know, in terms of like the complexity of humans and you know, our perspective with others, and it's I'm not who you think I am. I am not who I think I am. I am who I think you think I am. So 9 times out of 10, you're so caught up in other people's perspectives of you. And like you said, Damien, you know, rightly so, you know, taking risks, and maybe you not want to because of outside different factors that don't even exist, right? You've sort of made them up. So definitely being true to yourself in that sense. And the one around sort of compassion is around like being too hard on yourself, but more so to put that into perspective is, if, so say a friend or a family member is going through a challenging time, everybody's on hand to give them love, encouragement, support, and to be there. But more often than not, if you're going through that yourself, you're not there for you, right? You don't show the same compassion and, you know, that same sort of support and encouragement. So I'd definitely say, you know, focus on that, focus on, you know, showing up for you as well as the other one. So I feel like I built it up way too much than what it needed to be, but I think it's really important.
Not at all. I think it's really appropriate. You were kind of getting into French Enlightenment philosophy, so I think it's great from Damien's perspective that we've made that cultural link. But I think you're absolutely right. And quite often when we're talking about students, where they are and you know, what do I do next, all the rest of it. So, well, if you were advising your best friend, what advice would you give them? And you know, we do that. We think about how we can support others. We think about how we can support our friends, but we don't turn that and focus that on ourselves. And you're absolutely right, Lewis. Quite often the answer is, well, what advice would you give the person that you care about the most? Right, well, then do that, because that's the advice that you should be giving to yourself.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's what's the other thing I say? Common sense over common practice, right? You know, it's knowing what to do, but actually doing it is very two different things. So yeah, knowing the difference and understanding those.
Excellent. I absolutely love that. That's the end of all our questions. Is there anything that any final comments or any bits of feedback that people want to add? Anything we've missed?
Nothing other than, you know, please, you know, link all my stuff, you know, LinkedIn pages, email, happy to do that. If there's any sort of further support or anything that I can get involved with, I you know, can almost certain Damien would agree and say the same. But yeah, if there's anything else outside of this that you have questions on that we've discussed today, just get in touch. We're happy to help.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
just the same. Yeah, always available for a chat, especially with people that are like driven and yeah, passionate about what they do or what they are planning to do. So yeah, we've been helping like recently with the employer panel at Napier. So just again, like talking to students, telling them yeah, that not what they should be doing, but like some tips again, just to make them shine, you know. So for us, that's really important. It's back to empowering people and helping them to achieve what they want. And also, don't forget, everything is possible. Just if you want it, you can do it.
Excellent. Well, we'll have to let you know when this gets released, because hopefully you'll get a spike in your LinkedIn requests from Napier students at that point to make their connection. So thanks very much, guys. Really appreciate your time and sharing your perspectives and your experience and your knowledge, and all of that is so useful to our students. So thanks to Lewis, thanks to Damien, thanks to Kelly, my co-questioner, co-host.
Yeah.
Thanks to all of you for taking the time to watch our recording, and hopefully we'll see you next time.